The audience erupted into cheers as Meghan Markle stepped onto the stage of the Clarkson show, smiling brightly and waving to the crowd. Meghan, dressed in a sleek navy outfit, took her seat beside Kelly, who greeted her with genuine warmth. At first, the conversation flowed easily, full of laughter and lighthearted moments. They talked about motherhood, California weather, and Meghan's recent charity ventures. The energy was positive and upbeat. But as the conversation turned toward Meghan's life after stepping back from royal duties, a noticeable shift in tone began. Meghan's expression grew more guarded. Kelly's questions got sharper. Kelly leaned in slightly and asked, "Do you ever regret how public everything became after the Oprah interview?" Meghan paused, then answered, "No, because truth should never be regretted. Silence was never going to protect us." The audience clapped, but Kelly responded, "But some say going so public made things worse for the royal family." Meghan raised her eyebrows. "Do you mean worse for them, or clearer for everyone else?" Her voice was calm but firm. Kelly smiled awkwardly. "I just mean there are always two sides," Meghan replied. "That's true, but one side usually has a louder microphone and a centuries-old institution behind it." Trying to recover the mood, Kelly joked, "Well, I definitely can't relate to royal drama. The worst I've had is someone stealing my seat on The Voice." The audience laughed, but Meghan didn't smile. "It's different when the drama involves your safety, your child's future, and a global smear campaign," she said. There was a pause. Kelly blinked, unsure how to respond. "Right, of course," she said quietly. Meghan continued, "When people joke about it, it makes it seem smaller than it was. It wasn't just family issues. It was survival." The studio's energy dipped noticeably. This was no longer a casual celebrity chat. Kelly then shifted gears, asking about Prince Harry. "He seems like a really hands-on dad. What's your parenting style like together?" Meghan softened a bit and said, "We're a team. We make decisions together. We prioritize peace." But Kelly followed up with, "How do you find peace when the media keeps pulling you into the spotlight?" Meghan looked directly at her and said, "You don't find it to fight for it. You set boundaries and you enforce them, even when people don't like it." Kelly chuckled nervously. "Even if it means cutting off your own family?" Audience went silent. Meghan tilted her head slightly. "I don't think that's a fair question," Meghan said, voice level but tight. "We all have a right to protect our peace, no matter who it offends." Kelly, perhaps feeling defensive, replied, "But when you become a public figure, don't you owe people a certain level of transparency?" Meghan leaned forward. "Transparency doesn't mean tolerating abuse. Being public doesn't mean being voiceless." The atmosphere was now clearly strained. Some audience members exchanged awkward glances. Meghan sat tall, unwavering. Kelly fidgeted with her cue cards, clearly unsure how to move forward. The interview had taken a confrontational tone that no one had expected. Kelly attempted to lighten things again by asking, "So, will we see you back in acting anytime soon?" Meghan smiled faintly. "Right now, I'm focused on building something more meaningful than a character. I've played roles my whole life. It's time to write my own." Kelly laughed lightly and said, "Fair enough. But you have to admit, fans miss seeing you on screen," Meghan replied. "Some fans also miss seeing me quiet and obedient. Doesn't mean I owe them that." The audience reacted with a mix of cheers and stunned silence. Kelly's smile began to falter. She glanced nervously off camera for guidance. The production team could feel the tension. The interview was running longer than expected, but Kelly was determined to push through. "Let's talk about your new podcast," she said. "Some episodes have really strong opinions. Do you worry about alienating people?" Meghan responded, "If standing up for myself and others alienates people, they were never truly listening to begin with," Kelly added. "But don't you think some things could be said in a more neutral tone?" Meghan's eyes narrowed. "Neutrality in the face of injustice is complicity. If I'm calm about things that hurt people, I'm not doing anyone any favors." The audience clapped again, but more hesitantly now. Meghan crossed her legs and rested her hands in her lap. Kelly sighed and said, "Look, I get the desire to be heard. I've had my share of pain in the public eye too. Divorce, career dipsits, not easy." Meghan nodded. "And I respect your journey. But imagine going through all that with an international microscope and being told, you should smile more. The room fell quiet. Meghan wasn't raising her voice, but every word landed hard. Kelly nodded slowly, but her eyes betrayed discomfort. This was no longer her show, it was Meghan's narrative now. I'm all for empowerment, Kelly said, attempting to pivot again. But don't you think sometimes silence can be powerful too? Meghan replied. Sure, silence can be powerful when it's a choice. But when silence is forced, it becomes oppression. The air in the room grew heavier. Kelly looked at her producers again. Cue card was handed to her, clearly suggesting it was time to wrap. Well, Meghan, thank you for being here, Kelly said, voice tight. Meghan looked confused. Already? Kelly responded. Yeah, we're running behind schedule. Meghan smirked and replied, I didn't realize standing in my truth was bad for time management. There was a noticeable pause. Meghan slowly removed her microphone, setting it on the armrest beside her. She stood calmly, giving the audience a polite nod. Thanks for the space even if it got uncomfortable, she said. Kelly didn't stand. Take care, she said curtly. The studio audience clapped uncertainly. Some stood, some didn't. Meghan walked off stage with quiet confidence, not looking back. The production team moved quickly to transition into the next segment, but the shift in energy was undeniable. Kelly sat for a moment, silent, before finally announcing a commercial. Break. The cameras cut away. But the awkwardness lingered well beyond the broadcast. When the episode aired that evening, portions of the exchange had been noticeably trimmed. Several of Meghan's sharper remarks were edited out, and the abrupt end of the interview was replaced with a transition to an unrelated musical performance. But by that point, the internet had already exploded. Multiple audience members had recorded the interview on their phones, and raw clips began circulating within hours. Hashtags like Meghan and Shelley and Talk Show Showdown began trending on social. Media fans were quick to defend Meghan, praising her poise and honesty. Others criticized the tone of the interview, accusing both women of letting ego overtake professionalism. By the following morning, major media outlets had picked up the story. Headlines ranged from Meghan Markle walks out after on-air clash, to Kelly Clarkson cuts interview short amid royal tensions. Talk show panels began dissecting the moment. Was Meghan too aggressive? Was Kelly trying to provoke her? The debate spiraled. Meghan's team issued a short statement. The Duchess appreciated the opportunity to speak candidly. She believes in authentic conversations, even when they challenge expectations. Meanwhile, Kelly's team remained silent, declining to comment on the incident. The silence only fueled speculation that something much deeper had occurred off camera. Backstage, sources claimed that Meghan had voiced concern about the show's line of questioning before the interview even began. One producer, speaking anonymously, said she didn't want to talk about the royal family. She made that clear. But the producers insisted that Kelly ask anyway for ratings. That claim sent waves across the media industry, raising questions about ethics and talk show production. Meghan, once again, had become a lightning rod for conversations about boundaries, race, and respect in media. This wasn't the first time, and it likely wouldn't be the last. Her every appearance came with scrutiny far beyond entertainment. Meanwhile, Kelly addressed the incident indirectly on her radio show. Sometimes you try to connect, and it just doesn't land right, she said. I have nothing but respect for strong women, even if we don't always agree. Some took that as an olive branch. Others thought it was too vague to be sincere. Meghan didn't respond publicly to Kelly's comment, choosing instead to share a post on her foundation's page about courage in conversation. Her fans saw it as a subtle nod to what had occurred. Critics, however, accused her of once again shifting blame instead of owning her part in the tension. In the days that followed, celebrities began chiming in. Some supported Kelly, saying talk shows are supposed to be light and that Meghan's tone didn't fit the vibe. Others backed Meghan, saying that truth-telling should never be punished. One surprising supporter was Whoopi Goldberg, who said, on The View, if you invite someone like Meghan Markle, you better be ready for truth bombs. That quote went viral. The incident, now dubbed the Markle moment, became a flashpoint in the ongoing cultural discussion around women's voices, especially women of color, and their right to take up space even when it's uncomfortable for others.